Hi girls, I'm just going to try and put together a short video just so that you know what I'm expecting from the assessment creation and development today. So I have sent you all some mapping documents. So if we have a quick look at one of the mapping documents, let's go to sheet 1. This is for the Apply Safe Work practices, and this will be the same for all of the units. It will just have obviously different elements and performance criteria. So the mapping document is to make sure that all of the assessments created cover all of the necessary elements, performance criteria, range statements, required skills and knowledge. So I've put everything from the unit descriptor into this Excel sheet so that you have an easy way to map any of your resources. Now, when you are creating assessments, there are a few things that you need to be mindful of. One of them is this is a vocational subject, so the best type of assessment will be practical. So it's sometimes quite a good idea to go through first of all and pick out all of the performance criteria, skills, etc., that you feel could be covered by a student in a practical application. And then just put these to one side so that you are left with things that have to be covered by questions, case studies, etc., the theoretical part of it. So I would first of all look at my assessment code and reference. Now, I've put up here the main types of assessments that you will be using. But remember, for example, in the written questions, that may be the heading for your assessment, but within those written questions, there may be a diagram to complete. There may be multiple choice. So the written questions is the holistic name, but within that you will have different types of written questions. We also have the practical, and these are observations. So you will have an assessment code for it so that we can identify it on our mapping. And then you will identify how many practicals the person will need to complete in order to be deemed competent. The other types of assessments I have are assignment and portfolio. I'm not particularly keen on the portfolio, but if you feel that it's essential to your particular unit, then please use it. The assignment is the other one that you will probably be using, but again, within that assignment, you may have research activities, you may have problem solving, etc. So we have the headings up above, but the actual types of assessments that the student will be completing may be different within each of those areas. If we come down here to the evidence guide, this gives you a lot of information about the unit. It also explains what the student must have access to in order to complete the qualification or this unit, and the relevant documentation. So your assessments may be around this area to prove and provide evidence that we do have these documents, etc., available. The method of assessment, again, is a guide of what you may want to use to provide evidence for this unit. And it also has a guide on whether or not it recommends you use other units and to form a cluster. Again, you don't have to, because sometimes when you cluster too many units, the assessment becomes huge. We then have the range statements, which are very important because some of these range statements will have a must instead of a may. So if there's a may, then our assessments can be about some of these. If it's a must, it must be about all of them. Okay. Now, if we just look up here, you can see it's also got required skills and knowledge. So the knowledge is something that you would ideally identify through a theoretical assessment, and the required skills would be through a practical assessment. But there may be certain things within this skills that you have to have a question because they may not do it every day in their practical session. Okay, so once you've completed that, you can go to the second sheet, which is a template for you to complete your assessments. So we have the title and the code of the qualification, then we have the title and the code of the unit, your name as the developer, and the date. Now, when you're talking about the assessment code, which we were earlier, remember I spoke about you may complete an assignment. Well, within that assignment, there may be one or more of these types of assessment. And for each unit, you need to provide at least 3 different types of assessment. Now, it could be that you produce 3 assessments and they have 3 different types in each of the assessments. And if that's the case, that's fine. Much better to have more than not enough. Underneath here, you can put your question, your answer, and where you can find the resource to help the students answer that question. If the question is a diagram or something that can't easily be put into the Excel sheet, then just make a reference of it in the question, and then you can send that separate Word document of maybe a diagram separately with this mapping document. Now, in order to help you, I have included an example of an assessment. Now, this is one that was created between Kate and myself, and you can see that there is some information that will be the same for each of the units. So just look at it, but you don't have to provide this information yet. I just want the questions and answers and the mapping. So here you can see that Kate, because it's a level 2 unit, has created questions that are appropriate for that level. So she has given excellent information on what she wants, and she's also provided the students with little charts to help them. In fact, here she's actually given them an example. Now, this is really important. We don't want to make the assessments more difficult than they need to be, and students like to know how big the answer should be. So by providing them with a space or giving them excellent information, for example, you need to produce a short essay of between 500 and 600 words. Now, as we come down Here there are diagrams, there's charts, there's a variety of types that you would be able to assess the student on. Now, in addition to that, I've put in here a practical observation sheet, which I created in my last place of work, but I think it works really well. So you have all the information at the top. You have information not only for the assessor, but for the student, so that they know exactly what they need to do. And then it has the tasks that they need to perform in exact detail. So this has been taken from the unit descriptor, but it has been put into words that students and assessors will understand. And it's been quite specific about what it wants the student to do. So how long they need to take to complete a particular look and what those looks need to be. There's also a makeup consultation sheet, which we may or may not use. We won't be using the feedback sheet because we'll be using marking checklists, but we'll create those later on. So that's just an example for you. Okay, I've also will give you a template so that if you feel it's too difficult to write the assessment in the Excel sheet, you can actually fill it in a Word document. But if you do use the Excel, please look at this and the assessment sample that I'm going to send you. If you have any questions on anything, please email me. Okay, I'll send those documents now. Bye.